The best teams don't always have the best players. The best teams succeed because they have players who work well together toward a common goal. Each player understands their role on the team and works hard to fulfill the role to the best of their ability. The best ball carrier cannot look good unless he has good blockers. He cannot succeed. And an average runner in the NFL can look great if he has great blockers. Hi, and welcome to the fourth week of our time together discussing what it means to get out of the stands and into the game. My name is Kevin Wrigley, and I'm the pastor of discipleship at Plainfield United Methodist Church. One of my hopes for you is that after this series, you will want to become part of an ongoing small group in the church if you are not already. Now, perhaps your current group would like to continue meeting regularly together. One option would be to become a Christ Care group. Christ Care groups meet regularly to pray, study, and have fellowship together. Each group selects a service project that they would like to do together.
It started about 3 years ago when our Christ Care group began, and we were looking for a mission, which is one of the prerequisites for having a Christ Care group. And I had read in the paper about a fellow by the name of Ed Calton who was going downtown feeding the homeless. And Ed had once been homeless himself. I was intrigued with that. They gave a contact number, and I called Ed to talk to him. And he came out and visited our Christ Care group. And when he explained to us what he did, we decided that that is what we wanted to do. And so we've been doing that ever since. When we first started, we were searching for people to feed. We didn't know where to go, but over the years we've learned where they are and who they are and got to know them by name, built friendships with them and trust, and it's a mutual benefit to them as well as us. We receive much more than what we give to them.
God has given each of us a role to play on this team He calls the church. As we do our part well, it allows for others to succeed doing their part. For example, if the communion stewards fulfill their role, the pastor is able to serve communion to the congregation without having to worry about the elements. The whole congregation benefits by receiving the sacraments. But if the cup or the bread were missing, the experience of everyone present would be diminished. God, in His wisdom, has called you to serve as a part of His team, and He has gifted you for the part that you are called to play. Paul makes this clear in his letter to the Corinthian Christians when he writes, "Now concerning spiritual gifts, brothers and sisters, I do not want you to be uninformed. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit, and there are varieties of services, but the same Lord. And there are varieties of activities, but it is the same God who activates all of them in everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. To one is given through the Spirit the utterance of knowledge according to the same Spirit. To another faith by the same Spirit. To another gifts of healing by the one Spirit. To another the working of miracles. To another prophecy, to another the discernment of spirits, to another various kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. All these are activated by one and the same Spirit, who allots to each one individually, just as the Spirit chooses." Read together the parable of the talents found in Matthew 25. Then divide into pairs to discuss the first 4 points on the discussion guide. Do your best to stick to the amount of time allotted for each point. Your facilitator will let you know when it's time to move on to each of the next points. Afterwards, come back together as a whole group to discuss the final point. When you have finished your discussion on your future as a small group, turn the DVD back on for the closing and my final time with you. Thank you for your faithful participation for these past 4 weeks. I want to encourage you to finish this series as well as you begun it, as I believe that God has a blessing for you which will enrich your spiritual life. Now, I would be happy to talk with you about matching your discipleship goals with one of the many small groups at the church, or to help you look at other curricula that your group could continue with next. When considering what service God is calling you to, it is always best to start right where you are. If you don't start right where you are, you may never start at all. Now, your mission may be as simple as making others smile today, or you may be looking for a mission which challenges you to go beyond what you might think you are capable of. No matter what God is calling you to, it requires you to come out of the stands and into the game of real living.